You know, there really is. Sam's right. There is a generational divide here that usually sells very well in presidential politics if it's carried through the right way. I will say also, the one word that I always saw as Donald Trump's biggest challenge was exhaustion. Not his personal exhaustion, but the exhaustion of those who had supported him in 2016, some who still supported him in 2020, but were exhausted, especially after January the 6th, exhausted after just the constant fights, the constant insults, the constant battles. And so now it seems you have exhaustion on that side versus energy and joy, which is what Kamala Harris and her team were projecting forward and trying to project, saying, hey, this is what we're about. And it is a bit like hope and change. But right now, it really seems to be working because Kamala Harris is now leading Donald Trump by 6 percentage points in the latest ABC News Washington Post Ipsos poll. That is a dramatic turnaround. Harris is holding a 51% to 45% lead among likely voters nationwide. That's likely voters. Harris has also flipped the script on the age issue. Look at this. When adults were asked, quote, which candidate is good enough physical health to serve effectively, Harris leads Trump by a 30-point margin. And as you can see there, Donald Trump had led Biden by a 31-point margin. So what? 61-point swing on that question in just a month. Harris also has a 9-point advantage when it comes to having the mental sharpness required to serve effectively. And that erases a 30-point lead that Donald Trump had over Joe Biden on that question. There's also new swing state polling out. In the latest New York Times Siena College poll, Harris leads Trump by 5 points among likely voters in Arizona. That's a big shift. And by 2 points in North Carolina, another big shift, and also suggesting that far from the map closing in on Democrats, it is now expanded out, and North Carolina now obviously going to have to be fought for by Donald Trump. Donald Trump leads Harris, meanwhile, by 4 percentage points in Georgia and by a single point in Nevada. All those results are with a margin of error. In the May poll conducted when Joe Biden was still the presumptive Democratic nominee, Trump led by 6 points in Arizona, 9 points in Georgia, and 13 points in Nevada. North Carolina was not even part of that previous poll. The important thing to remember here, though, Jonathan Lemire, this race, still a tie.
That's exactly right. And Vice President Harris has momentum. The trend lines, which we talk about a lot on this show, are certainly in her favor. One could argue, to use the baseball metaphor, she's basically thrown a no-hitter since taking the top of the ticket. But yet the race is still within the margin of error. That just goes to show how close this is, how divided this race is, and how hard fought it's going to be going forward. Now, Democrats I speak to, they do think this week's going to be a real opportunity. And there is concern about some of the optics of the protests that will be outside. There were some last night. A huge crowd is expected this evening, pro-Gaza protesters, pro-Palestinian protesters, targeting tonight in particular because that's when President Biden is going to speak. Certainly peaceful protests have obviously the right to be there. But some Democrats I speak to say that if it gets unruly, if they're outside agitators who spark trouble, that could be an unfortunate image that could overshadow some of the joyous scenes from inside the convention. But they think this week they have a real chance to build momentum even further, come out of it with a bit of a boost. Mara, and we see now that these polls, and again, it's early, it's close, but suddenly what Biden had a month ago was one path to victory. He had to thread the needle. It was going to be Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan. And that was going to be hard, doable, but hard. Now Harris, she certainly still has that path, but many other options now, too, because she's re-energized parts of the Democratic coalition that simply weren't there for Joe Biden anymore. Younger voters, voters of color, particularly black voters, more of the progressive wing of the party are willing to listen to her, perhaps. And now you're seeing her with a chance. Arizona, Nevada, North Carolina, Georgia, she can mix and match her way to 270.
Yeah, you know what's interesting about this? So I've been traveling, as you know, all year on assignment for the New York Times, talking to Democratic voters in many of these states. Nevada as well. And there was always pent-up energy in the party that Joe Biden just wasn't able to tap into, just wasn't able to connect with. That's young voters especially. And the funny thing about this is that he had sent, as vice president, Kamala Harris to do some of that work because she was actually drawing crowds, even early this year in many of these states. So this is a situation where a lot of those voters actually have already seen Harris on the trail. These are states where she's spent a lot of time in the past year. She has been hitting the pavement long before she was the front runner. And so she has that advantage where she has actually been out on the campaign trail in these states, listening to local leaders, too, understanding what is on voters' minds in these specific places. And then on top of that, you just have states where you have, in many cases, large young people demographics, large Hispanic and black populations. And this is electrifying. This has electrified the Democratic base. And there's a sense, of course, that we are moving into the future. And I heard over and over again from young voters, they said, well, I'm not going to vote for Donald Trump. But is Joe Biden it? I like him, but what does he know about my life? And there was just a large disconnect. So I think that this is kind of a coming together of the Democratic base, which is seeing for the first time this year, really, a sense that the Democratic ticket really reflects them. And I think that's why you're seeing Kamala Harris embraced the way you have.
And that's been the Democrats' challenge all along, to bring the voters home. And, we said this was a tie. In effect, we're still within the margin of error, but I never really looked at polls, the exact numbers, because you never know how accurate they're going to be. But I did always look at trend lines. We should still look at trend lines. The trend lines certainly seem to be breaking in Kamala Harris's direction. And really, you look at the direction that it's going. You look at the fact that right now she is outworking Donald Trump. Right now, Donald Trump cannot stay on script and is rambling and going off script, causing concern for his staff, causing concern for those closest to him in the campaign. And you just have to ask, what's the dynamic right now that's going to change between now and the election to reverse that momentum? We have a long way to go, including debate coming up on September 10th. That may be Donald Trump's next opportunity. Still at